When has God and his character not been a reflection of this definition of love? You can think about that too. Okay, so the answer is never. Welcome to You, Me, and JC. This is McKenna. This is your first time tuning in. I'm so glad that you're watching. It is a new month, which means we have a new focus. This month we will be talking about love because why not? It's February. But not just love in the generic sense. We're going to dive into a little bit of how we formed our own definitions of love. And then bring it around to like self-love and then love for others and a good reflection to wrap it all up in. This week, the focus is breaking down our definition of love. Go a little deeper. But before we move forward, don't forget to press the like, subscribe, and bell for notifications so you're notified every time one of these videos is uploaded. And here we go. Starting off, as a human, you crave love, attention, security, safety. Basic needs, we all feel that way. The dictionary, though, defines the word love as the deep tenderness, affection, and concern felt for a person with whom one has a relationship. And the word that stuck out to me the most in that definition was the word tenderness. And tenderness is defined as gentleness and kindness, sensitivity to pain. Now look at that part, sensitivity to pain, right? In 1 Peter 5 verse 7, it says, cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. That verse right there is an example of God's sensitivity to our pain. Our cares are the worries, the stressors, traumas, fears, anxieties, anything that we carry that can bring us down or stops us from moving forward into what God has for us. And he is so sensitive to our pain, and most of us don't even choose to hand our troubles over to him. Like, I know I still struggle with that, of wanting to actually release what I'm carrying and allowing him to carry it because he has the strength to, and I do not. Christine Kane said it in one of her podcast episodes I listened to this week, that the only work we should be doing is working to live in God's rest. And often we're just striving for other stuff. So Philippians 4 verse 10 says, I rejoiced in the Lord greatly because once again you renewed your care for me. You were in fact concerned about me, but lacked the opportunity to show it. So often as we walk through life, we've all kind of created our own definitions of love. Whether it's from childhood trauma, it's from failed relationships and friendships, we've all established what we feel like individually the definition of love is. And through the pain and the heartbreaks and everything, we never take the time to actually learn the definition of love because we're so blinded by our own pain that we form our definition around that. Often our definition is formed or built on everything but what God says love is, or without even experiencing God's love for us. So everyone pretty much knows this verse. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 4 through 7. And it says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. So now, with that definition, because that's the biblical definition of what love is, how many of our definitions match this biblical definition? Like, if you think about what your idea of love is, does it line up with 1 Corinthians? Ask yourself that. I'll give you some time to think about that. Okay. So, now that we've thought about that, ask yourself this question. When has God and his character not been a reflection of this definition of love? You can think about that too. Okay, so the answer is never. The answer to the question of when has God's character not been a reflection of his definition of love, it's never. We'll just keep that short. He's never not matched up with his own definition of love. Like, if you really think about how he's operated in your life, when has he not been kind? And I know we've all had our moments where we've been upset with God or mad at him, but he was still kind. Like, if you think about it, like all the times you've probably been upset because you didn't get what you wanted or things didn't go your way. If you look back on those situations, 99.9% of the time, looking back on it, you are extremely grateful that things didn't go the way you want them to. So was he still not kind? His protection is a form of him being kind. Another good question, when has he not been patient with you? When has he not been patient? God has the most patience than I think anybody. Look who it is. Are you gonna lay down? You wanna be in the video? You gonna say hi? Caesar says hi. Okay, so when has God not been patient with you? He's patient when we don't listen. He's patient when we spend most of our lives just running around doing what we wanna do instead of what most of our lives just doing what we wanna do and not what he wants us to do. He's patient as we all go through our refining process. He's like the definition of patience also. So when you think about those two things, and that's just two parts of the definition, you know? God has been so loving to us, and we often don't even realize it. Like the breath you breathe every day is like his love for us, because he chooses to wake us. He chooses to give us another day. Every time you make it to and from, when you leave home and you get to come home, that's such a blessing that so many people take for granted on a daily basis. There's a lot of people that leave home that never make it back home. And those that don't make it home doesn't mean that he doesn't love them, but he makes all things still work together. So even those situations where you feel like there's no way he's being kind right now. Or even more importantly, like the seasons of purification, like when we're so focused on what we want to get and God spends that time preparing you for who you need to be to walk into what he has for you next. The patience he has for us in that season. I know God's being real patient with me right now. Real patient. Because honey, we still a mess. But he loves me no less, you know? So we started off with our own definition of love. And then we kind of asked ourselves, do our definition match up with God's definition of love? So we pivot from a place of like, what is love? To now knowing that God is love. 1 John 4 verse 16 says, and so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. So it's simple. It's not simple, but it's simple. Like God is love. A lot of us, I feel like, struggle with the concept of God loving us because we have our own definitions of love. Not the biblical definition of love, but the definitions we form from our pain. So when things in life happen, whether it's something you've been praying about or things just don't go how you would want them to go, it's easy for us to immediately become upset with God or feel like he doesn't love us because humans have failed us. Humans are going to fail us. You're going to fail humans. It's just a part of it because we're not him. Our goal should be to pursue a heart like his. But in order for us to pursue a heart like his, we have to take in his definition of love and believe that he loves us. And once we believe that he loves us, we can love ourselves better and we can love other people better. So I hope today's intro to Love Month here in February on You, Me, and JC has really helped you shift your perspective some on what you've defined love to be. I know with writing this, it definitely was a little bit emotional. Just thinking about every part of that definition and how God meets the need on every single part. God's not self-seeking. He's not easily angered. That's a big one. God is not easily angered. I know there's some Old Testament God where he flooded the earth and all that kind of stuff, but we talk about how he said he wouldn't do it again. You know, God keeps no record of wrong. Let me find that scripture. Hebrews 8:12. Found it. For I will be merciful towards their iniquities, and I will remember their sins no more, keeping no records of wrong. It says it in his word, but we'll keep our records. You got a long list that you know you got in your back pocket of everything that you've done wrong, but God's forgiven it. So forgive yourself. That goes a little bit more into what I'm going to talk about next week. So I'm going to leave that part alone. But all in all, I hope after watching this is having you reevaluate your definition of love and spend some time diving into what God's definition of love is and learning to receive his love. It's like a love language type thing. You know, you receive love a certain way. God pours out love to us and for us. But like Philippians 4:10 said, if he lacks the opportunity, the only way he can lack the opportunity is if we don't give him the space to do it. Or our heart posture isn't open to receive it. That's the only way you won't receive or feel his love for you, because you're not giving him a chance to. Let him love you. He already does. You just got to be open. Drop the guards. Believe that he wants what's best. Believe that he knows what's best. And believe that he loves you like no one else can. So that is week 1. And I will see you guys next week. I hope you unpack this a little bit until we meet again. And have a great week. Happy February. Happy Black History Month. Happy Love Month. Happy February. All right. Have a good day. Bye.